All right, cool. We should be recording now at this point as well. Um, all right, let's see. Let me just actually get back to our class and we will talk about the game plan for today, which is really pretty straightforward. The main goal is to go through just the process work, the research that you guys were working on for the type specimen book. So we'll do that, and then there is just a couple really short tutorials that I want to watch with you guys that will help in terms of setting up the book. So it'll be a pretty straightforward class here. But let's see here. Let me jump over to the Google Drive. Let's see. Well, Kelly, do you have any material that you want to submit into the process and research folder?
Oh my god, yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot.
Oh yeah, no worries.
I uh, I picked Garamond
Okay.
as the font. I can look at other ones too. I'm sorry. I started like a layout too for it.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
Yeah, let me just make the file.
Yeah, at least with Garamond, you're guaranteed a typeface that has got a rich history. So you've set yourself up nicely from the standpoint of not running out of like a shortage of information or examples. You know.
Yeah, I forgot you. Do you have InDesign on the
The
computer?
computer that I'm on now, I do not.
Oh,
So if you could, like anything you want me to take a look at today, if you could just save it as a PDF, that would be awesome.
okay, yeah, I'll do that. Sorry, I'll do that right now.
No, no worries. It's my fault. I've literally had this new Mac laptop sitting in front of me here for going on 2 weeks now, and I have got everything set up on it except for my ECC like black or not Blackboard, but D2L information. So I need to get that taken care of. And then I almost have no choice because I need to start doing some demos for you guys that are custom for what we're going to be doing in the next couple of projects. So, like it or not, I'm going to have to just bite the bullet here. Hopefully this weekend I'll make that happen.
Okay, here's the PDF I'm uploading.
Okay, cool.
It works. I did an interactive version of it.
Ooh, awesome. All right, cool. I'm going to give that a download then.
I just have the information. I'm still not sure about the design or like layout I want. I just have the
Sure. And
information
at this
now.
point, yeah, I don't expect much of the layout to be done. Today is much more about just showing what font you want to work with and kind of surveying what kind of information you plan on putting into it. I mean, anything that
Okay.
you have designed, that's awesome. I mean, that's I would call that icing on the cake at this point. But yeah, here, let's give that a look. Oh, look at you! You actually have begun some like laying out this information. Fantastic. All right.
Yeah. I just have like the biographical information. I had a quote that I liked from them that I wanted to include.
Cool.
And then I think like towards the end, I have like the hand sorry. I have like the handwritten portion, I think toward the end, and then like the font variations. But I want to play around with the font variations, but I just wanted to get like what is what down, like
Yeah,
in a
no,
text
absolutely.
box.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, we'll run through this here. And by no means, like, I was not even expecting you to be this far. This is awesome. Since you are, I'll throw a few suggestions out there. And believe me, I understand that these are not like by any means final layouts, but just a few things to think about that I'll throw out there since you are this far with it. So some like one really small thing here, I would recommend with like this type of a layout, either putting the photo to the right side of the quote just because it's right aligned, and that would give you the
Yeah.
opportunity to have a nice clean edge there rather than like sort of uneven rag line against that photo. And I would also, if it stays on this side and you just like maybe go left line with that type, that could totally work. Just I would say draw in a guideline that goes down just so you can line that up. But again, that's we'll do a formal design critique on this next class when we get together. But I'm just going to throw some small stuff out there while we're looking.
Yeah.
Cool. Kelly, on single columns like this, my other thought, again, totally not designed, just for next week, I would go with unified justification on these paragraphs, where they're aligned on both the right and the left hand side. Again, just to avoid that kind of a rag line. On a single, I don't mind rag lines when we've got multiple columns, but on a single column, it just will give you a very nice, clean sort of a look. On this minimal of a design, I think that's just it's a good look overall. But the amount of information is looking awesome as well. I like that you are going with a single column on these, because then it doesn't necessarily feel like an overwhelming amount of information. It's a small, simple block of type, easy enough to give that a look and digest that. Cool, this is looking good as well. So for today, again, totally cool with this, and even maybe for next week as well. But for the final version of this, I would definitely like you to like reconstruct an anatomy chart yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, for today, this is fine. It looks really good. Looks really good. Awesome. Good, good. Wow, and I had no idea that there was this many. I mean, I know Garawan is a really rich family, but wow, that is something.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God, it's so like it's just so funny how there's different variations under each like light and then how much there's like medium, semi-bold.
Yeah, totally, totally. And again, on the final version of this, you could probably even break this up into, at least one more page, but if not another one, because that's just a lot of typefaces. That looks good. Okay, so in terms of the amount of information, I think you've got a really like comfortable amount here. Again, this can easily be extrapolated into 2 more pages. I think as well, we could have a few pages where you're displaying, pick one of the versions and just show it at like, like 8 point, 12 point, 24 point, 36 point, just so we can see. And it could just be a single sentence or just the name of the font to show those. But yeah, I like this very much. It'd be interesting to see what happens as you start to add some design elements too, based on the letter form. Like, I love what you're doing here. And to be able to maybe start seeing some of these letters, maybe tightly cropped the way you're doing here, kind of like, coming into the pages. And, obviously they'll need to be, subtle so that they're not overwhelming things, whether it's low opacity or subtle color use. But I think in terms of the actual amount of information, Kelly, you are definitely good to go. You did your homework, and then even took it up a notch in terms of starting to actually lay some pages out. So yeah, I would give you a huge thumbs up to start to formalize some of these layouts a little bit and extrapolate out to other pages. Ultimately, what I'd love to see from you for next class, my goal was to have you guys have all the information in place today, and then be looking at like 8 pages for next week on Tuesday. And you've already gotten a great jump start on that, which is fantastic. So I would say for next class, get these 8 rough pages exactly the way that you want them, and then we'll have like a bona fide design critique on it where I can really, because I know that right now they're just sort of rough put together. But I'm really impressed with the concept work here. This looks good.
Thank you. I'm glad. Thank you for the feedback.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Let's see here. So although Cam's not with us, I'm going to go ahead and look at these, and I'll just post the recording, and that way I can give Cam some feedback here as well.
Yeah.
Let's see. Actually, I downloaded this earlier, so it's probably still in my downloads folder. Yeah, there it is. Nope, that's poster. Let's see here. Well, there we go. I had it. I think it's still open. No. Cool. So Cam, I did look at this earlier, and my first thought is that you've got plenty of information to work with. I thought you did a good job of breaking this down. just this information up top, these first 3 lines, this will make for a single page. And that's something to consider as well, Kelly, is that I'd have to go back and look at your first page, but you could literally devote just a single page to, the creator's name, year of creation, and the characteristics or classification of the font. I think as well, Cam, that the history of the font, there's a possibility that you can fit all of this on one page, especially with Helvetica being what it is. It's a very clean font and easy to read, small size. The uses here could easily be a second page for you. Your font families, yeah, I mean, like what we're seeing here in terms of them, like the actual examples, looks really good. I mean, this could be a page, this could be a page. Now, do keep in mind, Cam, Helvetica New and Helvetica are actually technically different fonts. And I would be fine with you using either or. That's totally fine. But they are technically different typefaces. So I would say choose one or the other. Let's see here. So you are proposing Poppins for your next one. And this is actually a typeface I have to admit, I'm not familiar with it. Let's see. So you're saying here the Poppins font family became widely popular due to its variety of weights and styles, and the font itself supports both Devandry and Latin writing styles, making an international take on the font family. And the design of the font follows geometry. It's mostly based around circles, no matter the weight. Okay. Cool. So in a lot of ways, very much very similar to Helvetica in nature. And yeah, it's certainly a very robust font family. So for me, Cam, I don't necessarily have a preference of you choosing Helvetica versus Poppins. It might actually be interesting to go the route of Poppins just because Helvetica is, again, a typeface that I think we're also very familiar with. Could be a cool challenge to do something different with Poppins. I would say it really just depends on how much material you can find on it. Like I don't want you to necessarily move away from Helvetica for the sake of choosing something different if it doesn't have, again, a nice amount of supporting materials that you can build up your book with. Because obviously Helvetica has just been around a lot longer. There's a lot more examples of it sort of out in the world. And let's see here. And Futura, obviously another classic typeface. So yeah, I would say just because the last project, Cam, you did, you may have actually used Helvetica. I'd have to go back and look, but it was certainly a font that was, if not Helvetica, it was definitely a very straightforward geometrical sans serif typeface. So maybe Futura is the way to go in this case, just because while it does have a standardized geometric typeface, it also comes with the condensed versions that we've listed here, which are certainly a taller and more narrow typeface, and just give you some variation to play with, so that we can end up maybe getting a project that looks different from the prior project. I would worry that if you chose Helvetica for both of those projects, we end up with 2 projects that just look very similar. And I'd love for you to end up having a just diverse looking work within your portfolio. So I would suggest Futura. Not saying by any means you have to go that route, but I think that a case could certainly be made for it to be the choice, just because again it offers something a little bit different for you. Cool. So Cam, in the recording, you might have heard me then talking with Kelly. What I'd love to see from you for next week on Tuesday is your first 8 pages of your book laid out for a critique. And again, I would love those to be as polished as possible so that we can have just a good, meaningful critique. All right. Cool. So let's see here. So really the only other order of business that I wanted to do with you guys today, and Kelly, it looks like you have a good idea of how to do this based on your PDFs. But there might be some information here that perhaps is new to you. And these are not terribly long either. In the week 3 area, there is just a couple of things that I wanted to point out to you. One is a link to Adobe's help documentation on managing pages and spreads. There is another link though for creating facing pages or spread layouts in InDesign. And this is actually a video tutorial. We're going to give that a watch. Again, it's a fairly short one. And I also want to just have a quick talk on this article on widows and orphans. And I think we'll wrap up then at that point.
Hello, creative. It's your graphics girl at graphicsgirl.com. That's graphics with PH and S. Girl with no I and 3 R's. And I'm here with a quick tip to help you design your brand. Quick tip. Now, quick tip videos are made to focus in like a laser beam on that one thing that you've been trying to learn in a program. This way, you don't have to wade through long tutorials to get to that nugget, that one thing that you've been struggling with. But first, would you like a free cheat sheet? Head over to graphicsgirl.com to download your free InDesign cheat sheet that will show you all the shortcuts in the program. Just click the link below. A spread is a layout with pages that face one another, like a magazine. To create a document with this type of side-by-side layout, you choose File, New, Document. Here, you want to make sure that Facing Pages is checked. With that, we could say maybe 3 pages or so, and you just click OK. Now, looking in your Pages panel, you can see that the 2 pages are side by side. But when I look at my page on the screen, I only see one document. That's because this would be like the first cover or so of the document. Then pages 2 and 3 are side by side. But what if you already have a document that you've made, but you didn't have facing pages checked? In that case, when you click OK, and you would pull down a new page to add to your layout, the pages are not side by side. They're tiered so that this could be a front and back of a newsletter, for example. So if you already have a file that you wanted to have spreads, but unfortunately you forgot to check facing pages when you created the document, no worries. Here's how you would change the document setup of your original file. Here, it tells you how many pages, and you could check facing pages. When you click OK, now your left page is set up so that when you brought down your third page, why? It's side by side. That's how you create spreads in InDesign. So if you found this video helpful, give it a like, share it with your friends, and please subscribe to my channel. And don't forget, for free marketing, brand.
Okay. So yeah, Kelly, again, I have a feeling that's something that you probably are familiar with based on the your document that you submitted to me today. But actually, the graphics girl, she can be a little annoying at times, but she's got some killer tutorials. So that's at the very least, you know, I would potentially bookmark her YouTube page. Let's see. So I mentioned to you guys both last time, we talked a little bit about widows and orphans. And this is an article that digs into it. And by no means do we necessarily have to read the entire article. It's a pretty straightforward topic. But I think, Cam, it might have been in your, I think it was in your poster, in your little text blurbs. Like this is one example of one in action here. So it's just a widow. It's just, you know, like it says here, it's just a single word or a lone word or a short group of words that appears at the bottom of a paragraph, column, or page. So, you know, technically a widow can be more than one words. It basically is where we run into something that's just visually awkward. There are a couple of fixes to this. There's three actually that they talk about in this. Here's a great example of this. This is just something that we very much want to avoid, is having like that one lone word at the bottom of a paragraph. Orphan is essentially the exact opposite thing. It really is just when you have a single word at the top of a paragraph or chunk of text. And this would come from, it's not that you would just naturally put, a word and then hit return a couple times. This is coming from the prior paragraph that potentially ran out of room on its last page. Okay, so that's like how we get those. Now there are three suggestions here on how to get rid of them, and I think that these are all potentially useful. There actually is, I'll show you these in action. I think there was a video that accompanied this, but one option is just to literally extend out the edge of the text box. I'm not the biggest fan of this option, because if we're setting up spreads and we want to use consistent, like text frames on all of our pages, it's just not good to be going in there and moving around and grabbing your having some pages with columns that are slightly larger or smaller than others. The next option, this is a pretty good one. This is one that I have to admit I was not actually aware of, is applying an optical margin to align your type. And this is something that can be done directly inside of InDesign, where essentially you would select all of the type inside of your text frame, and you would go to the Windows Type and Tables menu, and then Story. And again, unfortunately, the computer that I'm on right now does not have InDesign. But the window option is an option in every single Adobe program now. The Types and Tables panel is specific to InDesign. And when you open that panel, there's just a little drop down. You can choose Story, and it does a killer job of making sure, essentially realigning your type to take care of any type of orphan. And then this is actually the option that I personally used really up until just learning about the story setting. But I would personally apply tracking or kerning to text. So where we are, and I guess let me explain real quick. The difference between tracking and kerning, they are oftentimes used interchangeably, and I will use these terms interchangeably, but they are actually different things. Tracking is technically when you're taking a word or more and you're adjusting the kerning in between all of those letters. Versus kerning is really specifically what it refers to as adjusting the space in between two letters specifically. And there's just a number of techniques you can do with this. You can select a whole like paragraph of text and tweak it. Sometimes it just needs a little bit of space in between some of the words, just kind of tightening up the kerning. But again, that's another fantastic way of doing it. So. Yeah, and then I think I showed you guys this, I feel like in the beginning of the semester, but just in case. The shortcut in all Adobe programs, so Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, even video and motion graphics programs like Premiere and After Effects, the shortcut to kern your type or track it is to highlight it and then use your Alt Option key. And then so hold down the Alt Option key and then adjust your text open or closed with the right and left arrows. I thought there was, the top had a video of these techniques. Am I wrong on that? Yeah, I guess I am wrong with it. Yeah, I swear there was a video on that, but no worries. I'd be happy to revisit technique number 2 in terms of that optical margins when I start doing those InDesign demos with you guys. But if you're curious, Kelly, you can always just make a paragraph and give it one extra word at the end just to try this technique. It's pretty cool the way that it works. And it's quick, it's easy, and it does the job. So that was the other thing that I wanted to just kind of introduce to you guys in terms of a resource from our classroom for the week. And that is actually it in terms of stuff. So at this point, it really is going to end up just being work time for you guys, as we have typically done when I'm done with demos and stuff for you guys. Kelly, do you have any questions on the assignment for next week?
No, I don't have any questions. I think I just need to like work on the design and stuff, but I definitely like use the feedback you gave me and like the advice.
Cool. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
again, you've got a really great jump start on it for next week. You know, I mean, just from a time standpoint, like I know what you did wasn't, I wouldn't call it difficult, right? But it's time consuming. Like you did yourself a huge favor, and you did a lot of like the really time consuming work right up front, which will just allow you to get into it now and start playing with things more from a design standpoint and having fun. So that's great to see. Let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now, and we will just do work time.